So I'm gonna record now how I would approach this lab. So bear with me, this is the first time I'm seeing this lab. Okay, so I see we're going to be creating a better lift. Deliverables, we are building an app for a Lyft Uber competitor. The models that you will use for this application are passenger, driver, and ride. Okay, passenger has many rides, driver has many rides. Okay, so it's gonna be passenger has many rides and driver. Okay, cool. Always start by drawing out the relationship. I've done that. Deliverables. We'd like you to build out the following methods for each class. As you work, we want to make sure we are testing our code every step of the way. Thank you. Make sure you bundle install. Thank you. Let's do that. Okay, I'm running this. Then you can run the command console rb. Let's do that. Okay, cool. Exit. Cool. Okay, so in tools, console. Okay, let's see this file. Okay. Let's see whether we have all the classes that are mentioned. Yes, we do. I'm gonna copy paste these deliverables. Okay, this is a little bit wild, sorry. Okay, so passenger deliverables. And deliverables. And I'm gonna comment them all out. Now we're gonna do ride, the same, init, ride, and in here to do, let's copy. I'm doing this only because I don't want to be switching back and forth from readme to the file. So I'm just gonna copy it in each file so that I can focus. And the third one is driver. Okay. Init driver, and at the bottom I'm gonna paste the deliverables as well. Okay. Okay. All our deliverables are pasted in. I can now just close. Save, why not? Alright, so now I will assess each one of the classes. Passenger should be initialized with a name as a string. Okay, so initialize, it's gonna take a name, and I will already create an instance variable named equals name. Great. And they are saying that after passenger has been created, it shouldn't be changed, so after reader name. Okay. Returns an array of write instances. Okay, so this is more difficult. I'm gonna separate this because it's more difficult because it depends on other classes, right? So total distance passenger.all, I can do that now. Edit all equals empty array, and as soon as the passenger is created, I'm gonna shovel them into all, right? So self, and I need to create a method for that. All self. I know that it's a class method because in here you see that it's .all, right? And not hashtag. Okay, so this class method, when it's called, is gonna just invoke all. Cool. And now let's go into the, we're gonna leave it for later. I'm just gonna copy this to here so that I know that it is already done. Actually, I will maybe create some order here. Cool. So now, in order to move on with this one, I need to fill out the other ones. So a ride should be initialized with driver. So it's gonna take a driver, and let me wrap it. A driver, passenger, and distance. Okay. So now driver equals driver, passenger equals passenger, and distance equals distance. Cool. And as soon as it's initialized, I'll show it into all. And in here, we're also gonna create at all equals empty array, and we're also gonna create a method self.all that invokes at all, right? Cool. Let's see. The distance refers to miles. Okay, that's helpful. Right, passengers, and returns the passenger object for that ride. The driver, we already have that. The distance, cool. So we actually are done already with these ones. So that's happy news. Okay. And now the driver. And driver should be initialized with a name, and it's gonna be name, right? And it's gonna be a string. Name equals name. Okay. Okay, I will already initialize, I will already create the at all method. And as soon as the driver is initialized, I'm gonna shove it into the all. Def self.all at all. Cool. So we already have this, and I'm just gonna paste it. Okay, so now we can basically start from whichever class we want. However, first I would say we should create some seed data. I like to create at least 2 instances of each. So let's say driver 1 equals driver new Ray, driver 2, driver new Sylvia, and maybe that's it. Okay, now let's look into the passenger. You always need to first create seed data for the you need to create the seed data for the joiner the last, right? So now passenger 1 equals passenger new, and it's also gonna be a name, Graham, and let's just copy this. Passenger 2, their name is gonna be Karin. Okay, and now rides will take what? Let's see. Driver, passenger, distance. Okay. A ride dot new, and now driver, passenger, and distance 70. I don't know how much miles are. B. So we can basically just take this and just copy it. passenger 2, and it's gonna be 100. Actually, okay, let's do it this way. C equals write new, driver 1, maybe driver 2, passenger 1, and it's gonna be 1. I like to create at least like 2 or 3 instances, I mean seed data pieces per class, right? So for the joiner, I like to create different numbers, right? So for example, one driver will have 3 rides, one driver will have just 1, and there's gonna be a third one that has nothing. So let's do it. Driver 3, any. So this driver will not have any rides. And let's just add, oh, that's gonna be okay. So we have one driver that has 2 rides and one driver that has 1. Okay, cool. So now let's just test out our data. Let's see whether we were able to create everything, right? So driver 1, okay. Driver all, we have 3, right? Passenger all, we have 2, and ride dot all, maybe length, we have 3. Cool. Okay, so now we have seed data that actually works. So now let's look into the methods that we need, right? So, but let's just check whether we actually can actually fulfill these conditions. So let's see, driver, sorry, okay, ride all first, and what is it, passenger, okay, so passenger is not working. Oh, why is that? Well, I didn't add reader to any of this. Driver, passenger, and distance. And now in driver we need name, and in passenger, okay, we have that. Okay, let's exit. That's why you should test. Okay, so now let's do it again. Now it works, right? So let's check the other ones now that we know that we made a mistake earlier. And driver, okay, that works. And distance, cool, 70. Cool, let's check other ones that I think that I already done. So driver name, so let's do driver.all.first.name. Cool. And the last one is passenger.all.first.name. I'm checking here whether I am fulfilling this deliverables. Okay, that works. So now I can actually play around and see all the rides that the passenger has, for example, right? So let's do that. So let's check. Okay, I'm gonna exit this, and in here I'm gonna write a method that should be checking that. So it's called rides. So let's check. So in here I'm gonna iterate over all the rides in order to find the ones that have this passenger. So ride.all.select and pipes ride ride.passenger equals self. Cool. In order to check whether this will work, I can actually do binding.pry, and I can actually just call here this method. So for example, driver1.rides. This line will immediately invoke this line, right? Because it will, oh, wait, passenger. Cool, so it will look into the passenger instance that is in the passenger class and then look for the method, instance method of rides. Cool, so as I expected, we are now on the line 17. I'm just gonna copy paste this line so I can do self first to see gram, and gram's rides are this, and that's correct. Cool, so right now I can already take out the binding.pry, and even inside this I can just move on to do now drivers. So def drivers, and in here I would, now I want to iterate over the array that I got back in rides, and find all the drivers, right? So it's gonna be rides.map, and in here ride, I want to just get the instance of the drivers, so it's gonna be ride.driver. Cool, let's see whether this will work. Oh, first I will need to say, because I didn't escape the previous session of binding.pry, I will save this array to a different variable first. So rides, okay, and now I'm gonna do this, and we know that there are two drivers. Cool, so we already know that this many rides happened. Cool, so these two are already done. I will move them below, and now total distance. Okay, let's see. Where do I have the distance? On the rides. Okay, def total distance, and so I'm again gonna iterate over rides and just and take out the distance. Maybe I would say distance equals, and in here I would do, is there any how to sum things in Ruby? Let's check. Sum Ruby. Right, so we are not expecting you to know exactly all the Ruby documentation. We expect you to know, to not panic and to know what to go on, right? So maybe this is gonna be distances array, and distances array equals what's the oh, you don't see that, but I'm on the other screen right now. Okay, I'm just gonna do distances array sum and see what will happen. So first I'm gonna code it. I'm gonna check whether this works. Okay, so we have two rides and we have two distances, and now I'm gonna check if this code works. I should be given 71, and yeah, that works. Okay, total distance 71. Cool. Now we need, okay, so now let's look at this premium members. Returns an array of all passengers who have traveled over 100 miles in total with the service. Okay, this feels like a lot of fuss and I don't know how much time we have, so I'm just gonna leave this for bonus. Okay, so now, alright, so we are back to the passenger names. Wait, did I take out the binding.pry in here? I did. Okay, cool. So in here, I'm gonna comment this out, copy this, and in here I'm gonna write driver, because now I'm gonna be testing driver, right? And it's not called rides, but it's called, oh yeah, there's rides. Cool, so let's write it. Def rides, and we're gonna do, again, iterate over the ride, ride.all.select, where where the driver equals self. Cool. And in here we're gonna do binding the pry, just to be able to play with this a little bit. Oh, we need to leave this binding. Okay, so now we are in this binding.pry, and let's see what happens. So I'm gonna paste this line just to see whether this driver has enough rides. Okay, cool, it has. Let's just see. We have two. This driver, the first driver will have 2 rides. That's correct. Okay, and what's gonna happen now? Okay, so we've already done this one. And now passenger names. Okay, def passenger names. So again, I'm gonna iterate over the return value of this rides. The return value of this rides is this array, so it's gonna be rides dot map and pipes ride dot passenger. So because of the fact that I called this method on driver, I'm in the binding.pry here, and the self is driver 1, right? So it's Ray. So I'm still using Ray as an example, and I can use his data here in console in order to check my code. So I'm gonna do that. Wait, what just happened? Oh yeah, because of the fact that I have binding.pry, I'll be now looping forever. So maybe let's not do that. Okay. I can actually, in binding.pry, I can actually call right now driver 1 and just check whether this code works, right? Or I can just call driver 1 dot passenger names and see whether this code works. Cool, so it works. Oh, it should be unique. So at the end I should put unique. Cool, done. And let's move it to the end. And now mileage cap takes an argument of a distance float and returns an array of all drivers who have driven over the mileage. Okay, let's do that later. So now ride average distance. Okay, that's also funny, but let's do that. Def and is this a class method? No. Yes, average distance. If it's a class method, we need to put self in here, so that self refers to the class. Okay, so now in here we're gonna do, let's look in the documentation how to calculate average in Ruby. So we're gonna do length, maybe array length equals added all length, and then distance. Oh, what's that? So returns an average distance across all rides. Oh, so we need to do distance array equals edit all dot map, and in here we're gonna do ride. So we're gonna iterate over all the rides that happened and just have an array of distances. Ride dot, wait, is the ride with this? Okay, ride distance. And now we're gonna use our previous method of summarizing it, right? So maybe distance array distance sum dot sum, and now we're gonna do average equals oh, we need to make these distances to float. We need to make them floats. Cool. And the same with length to floats, because if you want to create an average, it needs to be floated. So now average. So first we're gonna divide distance sum by average array length. I would actually, in here, I would call binding dot pry just to check it. And in here, I would say ride dot average distance. Exit, and I'm gonna go into this binding dot pry. Oh, I didn't save it here. Oh, well, I can actually just call this method here, because why not? I'm now in the other binding dot pry. Okay, so let's see what's gonna be average. 57.0. Let's see, array length 3, distance sum. Yeah, it looks kind of okay, right? Cool. So we know that this works. And okay, we're done with the first class. Let's continue with another one. Okay, driver takes an argument of a distance float and returns an array of all drivers who have driven that mileage. Okay, so let's create that. Def it's a class method, right? So self the mileage cap. So there's gonna be some number float that this method will be invoked with, and then we'll be able to check whether or not we'll be able to look for drivers who have driven over that mileage. Okay, so we'll be using rides. Okay, so for this we'll be using okay, so we're gonna iterate over, let me see. Well, the distance is, I'm thinking right now, so the distance is an argument of ride. So maybe we also need to first maybe we also want to create another method, helper method, that would be total distance, so that I will know what is the total distance that each driver covered, right? So it's gonna be rides. I'm gonna be using this the return value of this array. So rides.map, and in here ride.distance dot sum. So let's see whether this will work. We are now in the ride. Okay. So I'm gonna call in binding.pry, I'm gonna call total distance on driver 3 just to see whether driver 3 doesn't have any rights. So I'm gonna see whether the total distance is 0. Perhaps I also would like to 2f it. Okay. So now let's see driver 2. Okay, 1. Excellent, that sounds good. And now total mileage cap. So we're gonna say we want to iterate over all and to select, because we're gonna be taking in a few different drivers. So let's do driver. We're gonna be checking the drivers. Okay, driver dot total distance is bigger or same as float. Okay, let's check it out. I'm so excited. Okay, so let's say driver dot mileage cap, let's say 1. Oh, undefined method to f for array. Oh yeah, so you see, like I should put 2f at the end of the sum. 2f. Okay, thank you. Let's do it again. Okay, let's do 70. Okay, let's do 74. Okay, it works. Let's just check driver 1 dot total distance. Okay, that works good. Exit. I was trying to check whether the total distance of driver 1 is actually bigger, right? Let's check what happens if we actually call mileage cap with some distance that is not, that no driver has. Cool, it's empty. Cool, so we have that, and now we only have passenger, premium members. Okay, so def premium members, and it's gonna be self, because it's a class method. We know it because there is a dot, returns an array of all passengers who have traveled over 100 miles in total with the service. Okay, so it's actually easy because we have total distance, which we call on each of the instances. So we can again like iterate over .all, and in here we're gonna do select. Select that is passenger, and so we're gonna check every passenger for whether their total distance is whose total distance is over 100. Okay, let's check. Passenger dot total distance. Total. There is nothing like, oh, premium members. Wow. Cool. That's only gram. Okay, what would happen if we changed passenger or like premium distance to 0.1? Exit. That is, oh, that's lower. Okay. Okay, cool. So now it works. Exit. So premium distance is over 100. Cool. That's it.